Hey, welcome to Outsmart Your Guitar. Glad you could join us. Today is part 3 in the Circle of Fifths series. In this segment, we're going to focus on chords, how you locate chords using the Circle of Fifths, and to know the notes of those chords using the Circle of Fifths. All right? It's fun, easy, and one of the first things you'll be able to memorize relatively quickly. So let's just get right to it and make it happen. And remember to like and subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar along the way. When we talk about chords, what we are actually talking about is how they're put together. The major scale is the device we use to find the notes of a given chord. The major chord is composed of the key tone or the tonic. In this case, you'll see down below here the C chord. Let's talk about that. So the one tone or the key tone, the key of the chord is C, and that's the one. And you go through the major scale to the 3 tone. Now the 3 tone is what determines whether the chord is major or minor in nature. Major, it's a natural 3. Minor, it's a flat 3. And we'll get into the minor stuff in just a little bit. So for the time being, we'll stay with the 3, making it a major chord. And then we go to the 5 tone, which is the dominant tone of the scale, to round out the spelling of a major chord. 1, 3, 5. In this case, we're in C. C, again, is the tonic or the key tone. That's the 1. We go up to the 3, which is E. And so there is your determining factor that it is in fact a major chord because it's a natural 3. And then we go up to the 5 tone, which is G, the dominant tone. Play all 3 of those tones together, you have a major chord. Here we're in C, so C, E, and G. You look at each of these 3 examples and play them, and then look at the individual notes of each of these versions of the C chord. You will see all you are playing are C's, E's, and G's. You may duplicate C's. For example, in the middle one, the full bar chord, you have 3 C's. You have 1 3 and 2 5s. Regardless, you're still playing only C's, E's, and G's. So you have 3 C's, 1 E, and 2 G's. All right? That makes sense? Okay. So let's look at the major chord on the Circle of Fifths. All right, you ready? Here's the C chord on the circle. And we arrived at this because we have an equation. So I'll walk you through the equation. You start with the key tone. In this case, it's at 12 noon. C is the chord, so C is the key tone. You go up 1 position on the clock to 1 o'clock in this case to G. G is the 5 tone. Then you go through 2, 3, and stop at 4 o'clock, which is the E tone. E is the 3 tone of the C major scale. So the equation works for any major chord. And you see there C, G, and E, right? And we know those are the 3 notes of the C major chord because we've tested it. And now we also further test it through the equation and verifying it on the Circle of Fifths. Now, play a G chord, any version of a G major chord. All right? So, using the equation, we're going to start with the key tone, which is G, and that's at 1 o'clock on the circle. Now, in the equation, it says from your root tone, G, go up 1 position on the clock. And in this case, it's from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock is the D tone, which is the 5 tone of the chord. Go up 3 more positions on the clock to 5 o'clock, and you see that's a B tone. So we know that is the 3 tone of the G major chord, following the equation. Now, you can do this another way as well. Play the G major scale, starting with G, that's your key tone, go up to the 3 tone, which you know is a B. And we're in a major chord, so it's B natural. Go up another 2 positions to the 5, you know that's a D. And that's the dominant tone of the scale and the 5 tone of the G major chord, right? So when you play your G major chord, wherever you play it on the fretboard, you're just going to be playing G's, B's, and D's. And we know that because we have it all sussed out right there, and using the scale as well to further reinforce that you're only playing the 1, the 3, and the 5, the G, the B, and the D, regardless of how many times you play any given one of those 3 notes. All right, what about 4-note chords? Good question. Because not all chords are just 3 notes, right? So let's talk about the C major 7. So if you know a C major 7, play it right now. If you don't know it, you're going to know in a few seconds what are the notes you need to look for in how to put the C major 7 chord together. All right, so we're in C, that's our key tone, so we start at 12 noon. Now the equation for the first 3 notes of the C major 7 chord is exactly the same as the C major chord. You start at 12 o'clock with the C, go up 1 clock position to 1 o'clock for the 5, which is G, go up 3 to 4 o'clock, which is E, the 3 tone, the natural 3 tone. Then we add 1 line to the equation, up 1 position to 5 o'clock, and you have the B tone, which is the natural 7 tone of the C major 7 chord, and the scale. So again, you can go to the scale, start with the 1, which is your key tone, C, go up to the 3, which is E, go up to the 5, which is G, continue up to the 7, which is B. Now you have all 4 notes that make up the C major 7 chord. Once again, you can have multiples of any one of the tones depending on the voicing you use, as long as all you have are C's, E's, G's, and B's, and no other notes. Give it a try. Well, now you're asking, okay, how do I do minor chords? Well, that's a really good question. So let's look at the minor chord. Here we are playing a C minor. So C is our key tone, right? So you start at 12 noon, and looking at the equation, you go up to 1 o'clock on the circle, and you see G. Well, we know G is the 5 tone. But now, to get to the flat 3 tone, 1, 2, 3, 4, go back 4 positions to 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is E flat. Remember, the 3 tone determines the major or the minor state of a chord. A natural 3 is major, a flat 3 is minor. So let's look at it using the scale. You can take the C major scale and start playing with C, that's your key tone, 1, go up to 3, which is E, but E isn't part of the C minor chord. You have to lower it 1/2 step to E flat, or 1 fret lower, and that gives you the flat 3, which makes the minor chord. Then we go up to the 5, the dominant tone, which in this case is G. So C, E flat, G. 1, flat 3, 5. Doesn't matter how many times you play any one of those given notes, as long as those are the only notes being played, you are playing a C minor chord. So get a C minor worked out on the 6th string root, get a C minor worked out with the 5th string root. All right? Now, play another minor chord. Find it on the circle. Use the equation. Figure that out. what are the notes? Okay? Good fun. You now have a template to help you create an equation using the circle of fifths to find out the spellings of any given chord. For example, a 7 flat 5 chord. You're going to take your dominant 7 equation and modify it to accommodate the flat 5. And you can also modify the rest of the equation to make it a little easier to find the notes. How you model the equation, how you construct the equation is up to you. All you have to ensure, using the circle of fifths to help you, is that the equation points you to the right notes that make up a given chord. For example, the C7 flat 5 is, 1, 3, flat 5, flat 7, right? The C is C, E, G. Well, the G is flatted, so G flat. And then the flat 7 is B flat, right? So you just now plot it out on the circle and then write it down in the equation. Now, opposite C is F sharp. F sharp is also G flat. If you go from F up to F sharp, 1/2 step, that is F sharp, right? But then when you go up to G, 2 frets higher than F, and come back 1 fret and lowering it 1/2 a step, that's the same note as F sharp, but you call it G flat because you're flattening the note, not sharpening it. You want to make sure that you stay consistent when you make chords, that everything is either flat or sharp. You do not mix sharps and flats when you write out chords, okay? Just a little helpful advice there. Go for it. Find oddball chords. Use the circle to find the notes and help you write the equations. This way, you have devices to help you find any chord quickly and easily that you don't already know. All right? That'll do for this particular one. Thank you again for letting me be your teacher. Thank you for spending the time to learn this stuff. I think it's really important that you know it. That's why I created the lesson. All right? There's more to follow. Stay tuned. In the meantime, I have a whole lot of other material for you to check out. Go do just that, and we'll see you there.